Hello, everybody. Ooh, I'm so excited to talk about this one. This is another layer in just like unfolding practical steps and like what it really looks like to build an exit plan and just like a little bit a peek into how I'm strategizing, how to close this chapter and open a new one. A lot of times, again, like we see, that's my cat, Waffle, aka Waff. Um, a lot of times, we see the glimmery, shiny moment of someone taking the leap, but we rarely get to see like what is behind that leap, what support systems are in place, financially what is in place, and just like, yeah, the steps taken to really thoughtfully close a chapter and not just drop the ball. I mean, you could do that too because some balls are worth dropping. But yeah, just to like thoughtfully close a chapter and like really intentionally open a new one with glasses that are not rose colored. So anyway, this is an attempt to do that. That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm really excited. But also, I just want to take a minute to say, yo, we have 10 subscribers. I can't wait to look back on this video and be like, oh my gosh, and just know how I'm feeling right now about like how giddy I am to that 10 people decided to be like, yes, like I want to listen to this. Like that's so cool. Yeah, anyway, welcome 10 subscribers. I hope that you find value and yeah, just enjoy being on this journey with me. Cool. All right, so we're gonna hop in to how I'm building my exit plan and leaving the United States and moving to Spain. So I this came about, this sort of like four steps that I'm gonna walk through came about because as I said already, I wake up pretty early and I spend time with myself in the mornings when it's really quiet, when the birds are just waking up, when the raccoons are going back to their little dens. Okay. Yeah. And when I'm spending time out here in the mornings, um, it's an opportunity for me to walk through these four steps with the different components and all of their different stages that I'm going through in order to make this transition. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to start with number one. Number one is simply the triage, right? It sounds simple enough, but it can be really gratifying, ugly, necessary work, right? So you're essentially sitting with yourself and being honest with yourself and saying, what is it that I actually want? Why do I want this? How do my days look right now? And how do I want them to look? How am I really feeling? You know, a through line in all of my journals has been how utterly exhausted I am. And it really, every time I read that, I could go back a week, a month, a year, and I'm journaling the same thing. I am so tired of repeating myself. I'm tired of talking about the same problems to the same people, because at a certain point, it's like, what are you going to do about it? And it makes me so emotional when I read those journals because it's like I never gave myself the chance to just like let go of the reins. Am I going to die if I let go of these reins? It feels like I'm going to die if I hold on to them, right? And so, yeah, this time in the morning, I'm yelling. Sorry. This time in the morning has really helped me, yeah, just like identify that, okay, exhaustion is a problem. I'm exhausted and I want my time back. I give so much of my time to other organizations, to other projects, right? I pour myself out. There was a time in the past like few months where I've poured out so much of my time and my brain energy and my strategy and my yeah, just like wit and um my mind and my brain and my soul, putting it lightly, into projects all for it to be seen as Jasmine, she's just doing too much. You're doing too much. When this is something that's being requested from so many folks and the systems that it's trying to add structure to, it's being seen as doing too much. And it's just like, yo, I could literally take all of this energy that I pour into these projects into my own. And because there's easier ways to get money, there's easier ways to work, right? Like, it does not have to be filled with physical pain, with emotional pain, or with mental pain. And so I'm allowing myself the space to just brainstorm, not come up with any answers, right? But just like making sure that I have space long term to think about what could I do? What do I want to do? How am I feeling? How do I want to feel? Right. Another part of this triage is thinking about if I could design my perfect day, or not even perfect day, but just like a standard day that I would be happy with. Does not have to be perfect. A standard day that I would be happy with. Does it look like how my days look now? Or does it look like something else? And then I journal and I just brainstorm what a standard day would look like. No bells, whistles, nothing like that. A standard day that I would be joyous to spring myself into, right? Who would be around me? How would I be feeling? What would I be seeing, smelling, touching? Where would I be, right? So allowing just time to do that brainstorming and that daydreaming, which I really love to do. Um, and so over the weeks, working through this triage was really just like pouring myself out onto paper and thinking about what needs to change. The second step of building this exit plan has been to strategize. Really to strategize and say, like, okay, now that I know what it is that I want to feel, what it is that I want, and I'm going to bet on myself to get what I want, right? I'm going to bet on myself to get what I want because life is short and soon we're all going to be 80 years old. Okay. Keep that in mind. Um, so I'm betting on myself getting what I want. What concrete steps, make them very quantifiable? What concrete steps could I take in order to get what I want? What kind of time does it require? What money does it require? Do I need to learn new skills? Do I need to pay for a program? What are the concrete steps, right? And so for me, this was, yeah, I'm tired of being exhausted by farming. It physically exhausts me, and I don't want to be hurt. If I could show you all the burns and the scrapes and the pokes and just like my back, my legs, my knees, it is so painful. And at first it was nice because it was exhausting. I would go in, I would lay down, go to sleep, you know what I'm saying? Like get up, do it. I'm not doing that anymore. It physically hurts my body. So there's something that I could do that doesn't do that. So I have this other idea that has a lot to do with just like culinary education, culinary experiences, and really like immersing oneself in different cultures. And so that has been on my mind, and just documenting the same ends of folks in those cultures has been on my mind for over 10 years. I found a video of myself with an old friend, and we were just spitballing back and forth from 10 years ago, talking about this idea. When I was talking about this idea, and they were helping me brainstorm, like, okay, what could you do to do 10 years later, and I'm still thinking about it. The form that it's going to take is going to be where I'm going to start small, but I'm going to do it. It's high time to do it. I'm so tired of writing about it. Anyway, so, okay, and where do I want to do this? It's so interesting because I've always known where I want to be in the United States, right? Like I'm from Philly. Um, moved to California, Northern California, like 20 minutes south of the Oregon border. Years ago, lived there for a couple years, went to Brooklyn, lived there for a couple years, visited Guatemala on coffee farms, was doing that for a couple months, and came back to Philly doing my farming thing. Now I'm in rural Pennsylvania on a farm that I recently purchased. And that will still have value. That's a whole nother video. But so as I'm thinking about like where do I want to be while I'm doing this, right? Um, at first it was going to be sort of like a nomadic journey of like, okay, I'm going to do this project in many different places. And I just thought about that during my triage and was like, that's going to exhaust me, like always moving from place to place to do that. So I really want to have like a home base, do satellite journeys, maybe for a month at a time, maybe for, a month and a half at a time, but always have like a place that I can anchor myself and just have a place where I can recuperate and rest. So anyway, over the years, every single March, interestingly enough, I'm like, I want to go to Spain for a couple weeks. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to Spain every year for like 8 years. And then circumstances either quickly change. That's the beginning of the growing season in farming here in Pennsylvania, and um, so yeah, it just gets really busy, and then it falls into the next year. Oh, they want to go to Spain to just check things out, and maybe like for a month. Then eventually over the years, it became 3 months. And now it's like, you know what? We're going to go to Spain. We're going to go to Spain. So anyway, for months and months ago is when my eyes were set on Spain, and so initiated the process in getting that done. So one part of strategizing is, yes, just like saving, getting clear about the location and the what, and then saying, okay, how. So for me, that was saving money, setting a very concrete monetary goal, and mapping out the paychecks that I get, being so granular with a spreadsheet to say, like, this much is going to go towards bills, this much is going to go towards mortgage, this much is going to go in my savings account. Extrapolating, how long will it take me with this savings plan that I just developed and had time to think about over days and days, right? It doesn't have to be this crazy quick thing. How much time with this plan will it take me to reach this goal? And that allows you, playing with all of those toggles to say, like, okay, for my circumstance, for my financial responsibility level, or financial responsibilities, um, this is how long it's going to take me to reach this goal, because I know that I need or want this amount in order to do XYZ, right? So save money. And just thinking around, like, like walking around, I'm not one to have a lot of things, but like, even with what I have, is there anything that I don't need? Like, could I go on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and sell this and just like get a quick $200 or something, get a quick $300 with that, or just do a service that comes naturally to you, or maybe you always had a side thing that you could just ramp up a little bit with the amount of time that you sequester for yourself to just get in some extra funds, right? So there's so many, there's a lot there. And it's different for all of us. And also cutting expenses. One expense that I cut recently, which is kind of dear to my heart, was a bean subscription, and bean and grain subscription, heirloom, from farms, small farms all throughout the nation, where you would get these like specialty beans that like are not commonly or commercially cultivated. And I'm a little story about the farmers. It was just really cute. It was like $45 a month, but significant enough. And I extrapolated that out, and I was like, oh, I could save like a couple $100 over the time that I'm saving, right? So anyway, that was cut. And just thinking about like budget meals, like what can be shaved off that still has to be an expense, but like what could be shaved off? Electric bills, what lights do I typically be leaving on? You understand what I'm going, right? Save money, cutting expenses. Um, and then laying out the exit steps. And so for me, Spain, I guess, is known for their like super bureaucratic um immigration process, where I'm gonna read to you. I have this little list here of just a peek into all of the steps and checks that I have to go through. So right, I need to, of course, have a passport, upload that. The bio page plus all the blank pages in a PDF. It's time consuming but simple enough. Certificate of coverage. I'm in an interesting position because I'm a W-2 employee for two organizations. Um, I'm a W-2 employee for an organization that I own, right? And so I have more hoops to jump through because of that. And so certificate of coverage essentially just saying that, yes, I'm a W-2 employee. This business will continue paying taxes in the US, while I'm living in Spain. Social security statement, like for myself, and getting that federally apostilled. FBI criminal background check. First that was a matter of getting the fingerprints, having that the postal service attached it to the actual FBI background request. Once that was gotten, which within a day, because I don't have a criminal background, it came within an hour. So then I had to send that out, along with a federal postal request form to the feds to say, here's the money order, here's my FBI background, here's my federal postal DS 4194, I feel like a robot, and sent that off along with the social security statement to get that federally apostilled. A subsistence certificate. So for the company that I own, that I'll be working through in Spain, essentially it's a certificate of good standing, and so you get that through the state, and that has to be apostilled with the state. This past week, it you can own in Pennsylvania, you can only get this apostilled in one place, and so that's the in Harrisburg. And so I had to drive 4.5 hours one way to get this federally apostilled in like 5 minutes. Go in with my little document, you know what I'm saying, like fill out the request form. She just comes back out 5 minutes later, and I'm like, great. After 4.5 hours of driving, I have my piece of paper now. I need to drive 4.5 hours back, right? It was a wild day. That's another video. That's another video because so much happened that day that was really gross that allowed me to look back and be like, yo, I'm willing to put myself through this like roachy motel. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, right now, but soon. An employment contract, remote authorization, work history accreditation of my resume, translated that to Spanish, signing 4 other forms, my bank statements, my pay stubs. That's the tip of the iceberg, right? But thankfully, I hired help in order to go through that process, and so it doesn't feel insurmountable and impossible. And I'm making sure I have my own separate spreadsheet. So they provide a dashboard to make sure they give you checklists and like help you through, and they're available via email and all that. I have a separate spreadsheet, of course, right? Where I'm going line by line, every single document that I need. What is the status of it? What is the next step of it? And it hasn't been like final approval or not, as far as an attachment to the visa application. So I'm staying on top of everything immediately. If something needs to be done, I'm getting it done in an hour. That's a commitment that I made to myself, and it's going well so far. So anyway, so yeah, just laying out the concrete steps and just like giving yourself a structure that you know will work for you and your time and just like your tendencies, and making sure to seek out help because you don't have to do everything by yourself. You literally don't. When I had that realization, it was right when I was cutting the lawn. I have to cut this, right? And there's more like in the front that I have to stay on top of. And it was physically exhausting me because some things you need a weed whacker. Some things you need a push mower. Sometimes I could use the ride on mower. Other times I have to like use the loppers. I'm exhausted. This is acres and acres of a place that I'm trying to establish a lot of like perennial meadows. I'm getting off topic, but I just had it dawned on me one day when I was like, yo, I could just hire somebody. Like, why am I doing this? Anyway. Okay, so yeah, strategizing, laying out the steps, and saving money, developing a savings plan, and just cutting expenses, and just like triaging all of that in order to create concrete steps for a strategy. Okay, so the third step in building this exit plan is implementing it. So really just going and doing the daggone thing. You have your clarity of the steps that you need to take. You understand like what boxes need to be checked. So really you just need to do it. But in this step, you're really vulnerable because you're making big changes. Maybe you're leaving a job, maybe you're leaving where you live, maybe you're just like starting a new project. Maybe whatever that is for you, you're vulnerable because you're going through change. And so I like to like limit any input into my ears and into my eyes. I like to limit what I consume and who I'm around because if somebody says something negative, you're in a vulnerable place. And so maybe that would have like a huge effect on you. And maybe you'll ruminate about it. Maybe you'll start to doubt yourself, just like limiting. And they could have the best intentions, but all the same, protect what you are strategizing to implement because that is the type of moves. Those are the types of moves that really inspire people to do what's been on their mind, and then they'll be able to look at themselves and be like, oh man, I was projecting. You just have to know when things are, being projected onto you, be focused and like allowing yourself to have that focus and just baking in care for yourself because You're going to be going through a lot of emotions of like fear and like maybe sadness, maybe there's some grief in the chapters that you're closing. And so what do you love to snack on? What types of shows do you like what do you like? You would need a foot massager, bake that into the budget. Like, I'm going to take care of my feet, you know what I'm saying, like when I'm going through this transition for myself. So like, what do you need to ensure that while you're emotionally vulnerable, you're still good and you're still moving forward, because that's the main thing. So we're going to go to the fourth step, and the fourth step is just, yeah, doing that monitoring. So I wrote here, like, respect yourself enough to check in periodically and don't force anything. That goes back to that just like implementation step, because again, a lot of times what we see on social media is just a snippet of like the actual leap, but just like allow yourself to really feel all the feels of the leap. You don't have to force any stories of loving anything on your mind, right? Like, if you need to pivot, pivot. People be pivoting all the time, but they do it quietly because they don't want you to think that they're like, no. If you need to pivot, pivot. Change something up if you'd like, or if it's necessary. And just, yeah, like, allow that excitement to like pour out. Like, a lot of times I feel like I need to like delay gratification, or just like, not don't be so happy so soon. Like, no, if happiness comes, that's crazy. I bet that's gonna sound crazy to some. I wonder if people actually be feeling like this, like me. If happiness bubbles up, don't be like suffocating it. Like, let it come out. Giggle a little bit. All right. We can plan all we want, and there will still be like hiccups along the way, or just like something that we need to tweak, and just like, allow those things to come, because that's life. But you're still moving forward, and you're still taking the steps necessary to get what it is that you want, and design your days and your life like how you would like them to look. So it's still a win, even if you have to tweak XYZ. I say that a lot, XYZ. But I really hope that this was helpful and encouraging to you all. I plan on talking a lot more about like what this process looks like in this relocation to Spain. The timeline that I said in the first video, 8 months, has shifted. See, shifts to 2.5 months away. Yeah, just a lot of like deciding how, the farm is going to close down, and like available folks to like help maintain things while I'm away. And so, yeah, that timeline moved up, and I'm really excited to just get there all the more soon, and just like show you more closely like what this process and like visa approval process hopefully looks like, fingers crossed. Which is a great lesson for me, honestly, and just like relinquishing control. Because I could do all these documents, I can have my spreadsheets, but when it gets to the Spanish official, I'm going to send it with a prayer, and hopefully it comes back positively. We're going to see, and I'm going to show you everything. Either way, I'm leaving in November, visa approval process or not. Anyway, thanks everybody, for, if you made it to the end of the video, for listening. Subscribe. Do you want to be the 11th subscriber? How exciting! That would be great. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video tomorrow.